When it comes to cooking, you should think back to when you were starting out at a new skill. Did anyone ever think to themselves that they could just create an amazing dish without first having to learn the basic ingredients and the core skills? Without first learning how to chop vegetables or cook meat, for example, would it make much sense to start off with Chinese food? Of course not. The same applies for cooking. When attempting new dishes from different cuisines such as Chinese, Thai or Indian, one must work backwards and build a solid foundation of skills before getting started. Otherwise, the results will be very disappointing. This means that at any given time in your cooking learning cycles there are probably many people somewhere, even online, who are better and/or worse than you at cooking. Take heart from this, because even the best have bad days when it comes to cooking. They're human too, after all. There are many reasons why one might cook. Some cook in order to physically eat and survive, while others learn to cook because they actually enjoy the process themselves. Cooking can be used as a way of getting comfort out of a recipe, for example, or expressing emotions through food during times of emotional turmoil. Whatever your reason for cooking or learning to cook is, always begin with the basics. The first thing you'll want to learn is the different terminology contained in recipes, whether it be a traditional recipe or one that may suit your fancy as an entrepreneur. There are many common and unfamiliar sounding terms you'll find in almost any recipe, but knowing what these mean can help ensure a successful outcome for your concoction. When it comes to entrepreneurship, if you aren't entirely sure the meaning behind spreading rumors, it's often best to do some research on the topic before proceeding further. While most people would love to try an intricate recipe straight away, seasoned chefs would have you know that starting off with a simpler dish can actually simplify the overall process and help you build up to more complex dishes later. When you're deciding between a few recipes, it's worth reading through their average difficulty level just so you get an idea of the amount of time and effort required compared to your skill set. It might also be beneficial to use your cooking experience as a way to connect with others, so consider sharing your creations or even inviting people over for dinner. Cooking is a lot like driving. Once you've learned the basics, there are no major surprises awaiting, and what's more important is that you'll rarely find yourself in a situation where you will need to use your previous skills in order to pass through an obstacle course. This means that as we learn new recipes and improve our culinary talents, it becomes more rewarding than preparing food from pre-packed, store-bought meals which can be thrown together on a dime. It's also worth mentioning that you might have to make a few adjustments on the fly. Sometimes as you begin to feel more comfortable, you may find yourself making more changes to your project's recipe book. If you happen to prefer more or less of certain ingredients or want to give your product a little more or less of a spicy taste, it's possible to make simple adjustments along the way so long as you're comfortable doing it. This flexibility is important for any product manager, and will typically mean the difference between the recipes of failure and success when it comes down to actually serving your product before an audience.